Good evening. Welcome to the regular board meeting of the Board of School Directors of the School District of Springfield Township for Tuesday, October 19th, 2021. And let's stand for a pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the board was in an executive session at 6:30 to discuss a legal matter. Okay. A reading of the mission statement. The mission of the School District of Springfield Township is to educate and develop all students as learners and citizens who are high achieving, resilient, and responsible in a changing global community. Roll call, Ms. Michaels.
Mr. Bedard.
Here.
Mr. DeFranco.
Here.
Dr. Etlin. Ms. Jordan.
Here.
Mr. Lapidus. Mr. Needleman.
Here.
Ms. Sarsfield.
Here.
Ms. Lipinski.
Here.
Dr. Taratuski.
Here. Announcements. Board at its discretion may videotape all or any portion of public board meetings subject to the limitations set forth in policy 006.2, broadcasting of meetings. Board meetings will be broadcast on Friday afternoon following the board meeting. At this time, we will have public comment on agenda items at this time. And I see Angela. That's okay. You'll be doing MPA report a little bit later on in the meeting. So great. Okay, thank you. All right. And I don't see any other requests to speak for comments. So if there's anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on agenda items at this time who did not sign up, you can let me know.
There are no hands raised from attendees.
Okay, thanks. All right. So let's move on to approval of minutes. The Board of School Directors approves the board minutes from September 1st, 2021, the interim meeting, and September 14th, 2021, our regular meeting. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Michaels?
Mr. Bedard.
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco.
Aye.
Ms. Jordan. Mr. Needleman. Ms. Sarsfield. Ms. Lipinski. Dr. Taratuski.
Aye. Okay. Approval of the treasurer's report for the month ending in September 30th, 2021. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second. Any comments or questions? Michaels?
Mr. Bedard.
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco.
Aye.
Ms. Jordan. Mr. Needleman.
Aye.
Ms. Sarsfield.
Aye.
Ms. Lipinski.
Aye.
Dr. Taratuski.
Aye. Reports and information are EEHSP, STS, HSP, and MPA. Actually, we have two speakers tonight, Amy Hubley for the EEHSP and STS, HSP. It's a mouthful. Welcome, Amy.
Good evening. I'm Amy Hubley, currently one of the Vice Presidents of the Secondary Home and School Partnership, and tonight I'm going to share the reports for the EHSP and the Secondary HSP. The EHSP has received a $25,000 grant from the Debbie McFarland Corrigan Fund. The EHSP will re-implement their mini-grant program as well as double the budget for assemblies for each school with this grant. Plans are underway again for the author-illustrator at Enfield and Erdenheim. We are happy to be able to fund this program again this year. EHSP's Trunk or Treat fundraiser is Saturday, October 23rd from 4 to 6 in the new Enfield parking lot. Tickets must be purchased in advance and are $5 per child. There will be no ticket sales the day at the gate. Volunteers are also needed to decorate their cars and hand out candy. All of the information, including ticket sale and volunteer sign up for the trunk or treat, is on our website, which is eehsp.org, our Facebook page, or in Enfield and Erdenheim's weekly e-blast. EHSP and the secondary HSP are having a combined fall spiritwear sale slated for the end of October. More information will be forthcoming in the next week. Orders placed during the sale will be delivered in time for the holidays. And lastly, for the EHSP, mark your calendars for the return of the EHSP Carnival at the new Enfield. We have tentatively set the date for Saturday, May 21st, 2022. For the STS HSP report, we acknowledge that the acronym for the Springfield Township Secondary Home and School Partnership is a little lengthy. Our formal name will remain this, but we will make things easier when reporting, and we are going to refer to our organization as a secondary HSP. We kicked off our membership drive for the secondary HSP at the high school and middle school back-to-school nights. We are happy to report to date that 270 families joined the secondary HSP. It's a positive start. We estimate, though, that there are approximately 700 families in the secondary HSP. The entire membership fee of $20 goes to funding special events and enrichment resources and programs for the secondary community. We do not do additional fundraising. The membership drive is our sole source of funding. A representative of the secondary HSP is attending the middle school and high school secondary faculty meetings this week to encourage teachers and staff to become members of the secondary HSP and to join some of our committees. Our first general meeting of this year is Wednesday, October 20th from 7 to 8:30. Dr. Yannicone, Dr. Rittenhouse, and Mr. Fuller will provide district and school updates. In addition, we will review our committees for people to join, as well as highlight some of the other ways people may want to get involved. Involvement is a main factor of our success serving the secondary community. You can find the member link and the link to attend Wednesday's meeting on our webpage at stshsp.org, on our Facebook page at Springfield Township Secondary HSP, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, or included in the middle and high school weekly e-blast. We are looking forward to seeing everybody tomorrow night. Thank you.
Thanks, Amy. Angela, you want to come up and do the MPA report? Yes. Thanks.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Angela Biel-Tawfiq, and I am the parent liaison for the Multicultural Parent Association. It's with great delight tonight that I'd like to share that the MPA hosted our annual back-to-school night picnic in September. Thank you to the families, teachers, and administrators who came out to join us. We also supported the NAACP Cheltenham branch's Meet the Candidates event, in which some of the Springfield School Board candidates came out to answer residents' questions and share their platforms. On October 14th, MPA hosted our first meeting of the year, in which Dr. Piper Williams delivered a wonderful presentation on the facts and fiction of critical race theory. Looking ahead, we are excited to announce that our Black History program will be Thursday, February 24th at 6:30 p.m. in the Springfield Township High School. Our book club is currently reading their fall book selection of The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, and we invite all to participate in the book discussion on January 20th. Lastly, we hope that parents, teachers, and administrators will join us for our next MPA meeting on Thursday, December 9th. Thank you.
Thanks so much. And next will be our high school report, Madison Dunlap.
Thank you. Over at Enfield, towards the end of September, they held a back-to-school kindergarten picnic. On the first of the month, they participated in homecoming celebration, which included Spirit Week, in which they partnered with Erdenheim. The 25th through the 29th, they celebrated Red Ribbon Week, in which they also partnered with Erdenheim. And on the 29th, they have their Halloween parade. Over at Erdenheim on Friday, September 24th, the fourth grade students led an outdoor school-wide Constitution parade after they finished studying the United States Constitution in class. On Thursday, September 30th and Friday, October 1st, the fifth graders visited Camp America in Chalfont. The students participated in activities that helped them learn about leadership individual strengths, the value of listening to others, and teamwork. National Custodian Day was on October 2nd, and to celebrate, their custodian students provided snacks, cards, special notes to thank them. Lastly, during Spartan Pride Time at Erdenheim has been working hard decorating bags with inspirational messages, quotes, and pictures for their building-wide service project for the Chestnut Hill Meals on Wheels program. Over at the middle school yesterday, they started their big magazine fundraiser where students can earn a variety of prizes for the magazines they sell. The money they raise will be used for student activities and improvements to clubs and sports. On the 29th, they will be having their annual Halloween costume contest, and if the weather is nice, they will have an outdoor assembly showcasing the winning costumes. In addition, they have developed a flex period like the high school that allows students to meet with adults in school to pursue their own educational pathways. Over at the high school, October 1st was a busy day here. In school, we had our pep rally, and in the evening, we had our homecoming tailgate and fought for a win in the homecoming football game against Wissahickon. In addition, after being chosen out of a small number of schools, we had a ceremony at our pep rally and received a banner to now be recognized as a unified national banner school to spotlight our amazing unified programs. On October 2nd, we had our homecoming dance outside on the football field. And finally, the high school students just received new Chromebooks that come with stylus and convert into tablets, and students have been loving how versatile they are in class. Thank you.
Thanks, Madison. And Academic Affairs Committee report, in lieu of Dr. Etlin, we'll have Kat Sarsfield.
So the Academic Affairs Committee meeting was held on Monday, October 11th. Over Zoom, there were 12 attendees. You cannot hear me. Maybe I'll move this a little closer. Let me see if that's much better. Even I can hear myself. The Academic Affairs Committee met on Monday, October 11th. There were 12 attendees, and the meeting was held over Zoom. We discussed the new 5th grade social studies curriculum, and we have a recommendation to the board for that curriculum. Dr. Johnston presented the curriculum update of the 5th grade social studies curriculum for adoption. Dr. McLaren and the 5th grade representatives were Mr. Blenheim and Mr. Akawa. They provided additional details to Dr. Johnston's presentation. The curriculum presentation provided a thorough and detailed overview of the research process that had been undertaken that truly demonstrated a consideration based on multiple factors. The research into new social studies curriculum began in the spring of 2021 with full participation and exploration by the entire 5th grade team. 6 curriculums were reviewed along with 3 vendor presentations. Factors that were considered in formulating an adoption recommendation were the alignment with the PDE standards and National Council of Social Studies, inclusion of social justice, content that provided multicultural historical perspectives, differentiated methods of instruction, inclusive best practices with a variety of teaching modalities for all students, including students with learning differences, supportive teaching resources, including digital support, digital learning, content that strengthens critical thinking and formulating opinion, engaging with games, a methodology that supports note-taking, a consumable textbook for students with digital access, and the curriculum supports the middle school curriculum and provides a basis for understanding geography. Based on all the factors that were considered, the Teachers Curriculum Institute, TCI, Social Studies Alive, Grade 5 program, supported these factors and is being recommended for adoption. On behalf of the Academic Affairs Committee, I want to thank and extend a sincere thank you to the entire 5th grade committee. They did a really great job of reviewing all of the potential resources and coming up with one that really met everything that we needed in our 5th grade. The curriculum website, the curriculum area on the website will be updated in response to the concern. Sorry, now I'm getting a little feedback. will be updated in response to the concern of difficulty of locating information. I know this has been an issue that's been brought up here at the board meetings. And currently there are some format options being explored with an emphasis on the best mode of presenting information, quick access to finding the curriculum, and ease of navigating. These will be ongoing updates regarding the status of this exploration. We also discussed the Student Assistance Program. Dr. Lauren Patterson-Davis gave a wonderful overview of the Student Assistance Program, or SAP program. It's a program that's research-based, offered by the district for students who demonstrate a need for additional support in academics, social studies, behavioral, mental health, drugs, alcohol, or other areas of concern, with school-based SAP support or access through our community partnerships. So we talked a lot about that, which was great. And it was really more just informational. We're not presenting or approving anything for that, but it was informational. And then we talked a bit about the technology upgrades that the district has gone through. The district has been upgrading technology, and there's 63 new smart boards that have been installed, 47 at Erdenheim, 8 at the middle school, and 8 at the high school. But there are more to come. And there are also Chromebooks that have been upgraded. 11th and 12th grade Chromebooks have been upgraded, and the 10th grade distribution occurred so the week before, and the 9th grade will also follow. And we also discussed the new Spartan Flex program, which is being implemented at the middle and high schools. It's a 60-minute period that promotes encouraging students to regulate and take ownership for their learning and exploration. It's an opportunity to build community by connecting with peers and staff, and encourages a sense of belonging. So we discussed all of those items, and for tonight we are recommending the 5th grade social studies curriculum.
Okay, thank you. The next item is our Finance Committee report. Mr. Neil DeFranco.
Thank you. The Finance Committee report from Thursday, October 14th, we met at 8 a.m. In attendance was Dr. Etlin, Mr. Bedard, Dr. Yannicone, Ms. Green, Ms. Braun, and then representing the PFM financial advisors, we had Ms. Doyle and Ms. Kiesling. Hopefully I did not butcher that name. So a couple topics on the discussion. One was a plan that we're going to be voting on tonight. It'll be presented for vote tonight. This is the 2022 refinance plan discussion. This was led by Ms. Doyle of PFM Financial Advisors. This is a bond refinancing opportunity that involves series from 2016A and 2017. There's a potential savings of $761,000 with a minimum net savings of $200,000 per refunding, so minimum of $400,000 between the two. So we are going to have a presentation on that this evening as well. Okay. Next, we went over the ESSR funding. This was presented by Ms. Green. And this was an overview of how a lot of our funding has been used and a lot of what remains. There was a detailed look at the federal grant funds and a preview of what is still out there. Coming up as part of that, the American Rescue Plan provides the district with approximately $1.9 million of funding, which we have not tapped as of yet. 20% of that has to address learning loss through evidence-based interventions to respond to students' academic, social, and emotional needs, and address disproportionate impact of COVID-19 on underrepresented student groups. And community input has been sought as to how this funding should be utilized. Obviously, one consideration that the board uses as we approach temporary funding is to avoid the creation of any budget gaps once that temporary funding is used up. And so far, I think as a district, we've demonstrated that the use of grant funding for COVID mitigation strategies has translated in lower transmission rates, lower rates of illnesses, and higher attendance rates. Finally, Ms. Green led the 2022-2023 budget discussion, where we went over the Act 1 index for next year. The Act 1 index is going to be 3.4%. Typically, the district produces a preliminary budget, which is usually not in line with where the final budget falls. This is going to be another item that we're voting on this evening. Ms. Green presented us with an alternative, which is to submit an opt-out resolution stating that the board will not raise taxes above this Act 1 index. This recommendation to switch to the opt-out resolution rather than doing the preliminary budget process, there's a couple reasons for this, not limited to the fact that for the past nine out of the past 10 years, our increase was below this Act 1 index. More time will be available to the team to be intentional about the budget rather than spend time on a preliminary budget, which doesn't actually translate to reality. This allows them to build from zero and align financial resources with actual academic needs rather than start with an unrealistically high figure. And then this way, the first look budget that we see in the spring will be developed using real numbers, since we're waiting for those numbers to be available to actually plug in. So the administration is going to continue to provide this information to the committee and to the board throughout the budget process for transparency. It's not that we won't see this information, it just will be presented in alternative ways instead of the typical preliminary budget process. And so this opt-out resolution is a motion on this evening's agenda. And then finally, future meetings. Dr. Yannicone informed the committee that the next Finance Committee meeting is scheduled for November 11th at 8 a.m. to review the 2020-2021 audit, and we adjourned at 9:30 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeFranco. Are there any questions from the board on any of the committee reports? Okay, thank you. All right, we have up next the bond refinance. It's our 2022 bond refinance. So we'll invite Jamie Doyle and Carly Kiesling to join us and share that information.
Good evening. This is Jamie Doyle from Public Financial Management, independent financial advisor to the school district. And hopefully you can see my screen.
Yes.
As was awesome. As was mentioned in that great introduction during the Finance Committee report, we went over this report in great detail at Finance Committee last Thursday, and I'll give you an executive summary to keep things brief this evening. But good news is long-term fixed interest rates continue to hover near all-time lows. You can see that on the blue line, the top snapshot of this chart. And to give you a more historic perspective, the all-time lows were set in August of 2020. And if you look to the far right of the bottom chart on page 1, you can see we're not very far off those levels today. So an excellent time to be considering a refinancing plan such as this one. PFM continues to monitor your existing debt portfolio at all times for opportunities such as this one. And again, we're discussing this evening your Series A of 2016 bonds and your 2017 bonds, as both will be approaching their call dates during calendar year 2022. I'm going to skip to the important page, which summarizes the two-step opportunity before you this evening. So in the blue column, step 1, we would refund your 2016 A bonds. And this is very similar to other refinancing opportunities you've undertaken in the past. We're not going to extend the debt at all. We're simply going to replace the old higher interest rates with today's lower interest rates. And so the 2016A refunding is estimated to conservatively generate about $413,000 net to the school district. And you can see that in box 7 on my screen. And if you look down below in column 14, The way we've structured that savings is roughly 79,000, rounding up slightly in the current fiscal year, meaning that money's sitting in your general fund right now, and when the invoice comes in the spring, it'll be less than it otherwise would have been by almost $79,000. And then we're suggesting we spread the remaining savings in a fairly level fashion over the remaining life of those bonds. And then we would come back and do step 2, because the 2017 bonds aren't callable from the investors until later in calendar year 2022. And in box 8, you can see the estimated net local effort savings to the district are estimated at about 348,000. Likewise, down below in column 16, you can see you would recognize roughly 85,000 in the upcoming fiscal year ending 2023, and then the balance of the savings would be spread on a level basis over the remaining life of that issue. So in summary, you can see between the 2 steps, net savings are estimated to total a little over $761,000 there in box 9. And this plan would use very little of your $10 million calendar year bank qualified limits. Those are IRS limits. And we would meet all the tests and exceptions on both refundings, so that in boxes 4 and 5, only a small portion of each refunding would count against those limits, totaling about $721,000. So if you had other needs that arose over the course of calendar year 2022, you'd be very well positioned and flexible, if you had leases or, whatever might come along over the course of the year. The next page shows 2 sample motions, one for each step of the refunding plan that would authorize the financing team to proceed and get the paperwork in order. As was mentioned earlier, we're suggesting a minimum net savings target of $200,000 on each step of the financing. As always, that's just a minimum. It's my job to save you every dollar that I can, but we need to set a floor on these for planning purposes. And then down below the sample timeline, if you were so inclined to pass the 2 motions above this evening, we could be back at your November 16th voting meeting with said paperwork in order, and you could vote on the parameters resolutions. And then we could be locking interest rates in on step 1 as early as January 4th to settle around Valentine's Day. And then we could be locking interest rates in on step 2 of the plan around mid-July to settle in mid-August. So I will pause there to entertain any questions that you may have, but that is a summary of the overall plan.
Are there any questions from the board at this time? No? Sounds like all of those questions were answered in the Finance Committee meeting and discussed.
Very good.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thanks so much.
All right. Okay, our administrative report, Dr. Yannicone.
Thanks, Dr. Tarachowski. Can you hear me? Okay, terrific. So I just have a few brief notes before we go to our Spartan Spotlight. First of all, under comings and goings, I didn't get a chance at our last meeting to introduce our new supervisor of safety and campus security, Steve Chinta. And he's here this evening in the back of the Freeze lobby. So I wanted to give you a chance to meet Steve and for him to be able to wave and say hello. Steve joined us from Cheltenham District, where he had ample experience in similar roles. And he's been with us for just about a month now, doing a terrific job. He's been assessing and learning from Mr. Thorne, assessing safety in the district, making recommendations. I just want to welcome him formally and thank him for joining Springfield last month. So welcome, Steve.
Thanks.
Also, in the goings of the comings and goings, you may recall Katie Braun joined Springfield in 2016 as Assistant Business Administrator, and she's been a strong, effective, and skilled member of our team ever since. Any good leader hopes to see assistants grow into the potential to lead, and Katie is a true success story for us. Through her careful attention to detail, her ability to collaborate with everyone, from club advisors to food service vendors to building administrators, Katie has earned the respect and trust of the entire administrative team and staff. Last week, Katie was approved as the next business administrator for Eastern, where she will start at the end of November. While we are sad to see Katie leave us, we are excited for her to take this next big step in her career and want to wish her all the best. And I have one other note before our spotlight, and I know that this is something that I didn't tell her about, but this is some recognition for Dr. Taratusky. I purposely didn't tell you about this. So PSBA honors school board directors for long-term service and dedication to their local districts and communities. As a way to show their appreciation for the effort and commitment to public education, our students and schools, PSBA provides certificates of recognition to board members who have completed 8 years of service and then every 4 years that follow. Tonight, PSBA recognizes Dr. Karen Taratusky for her 8 years of service to the school district of Springfield Township. According to PSBA, consummate school directors are ethical, principled individuals with a deep desire to serve. They believe in the value of our public schools and local control of public education for the benefit of all students. Dr. Taratusky has earned honorable recognition as an individual who for 8 years has exemplified leadership by giving unselfishly of her time and talents for the betterment of our Springfield school community. And it's my pleasure to introduce and present this certificate to Dr. Taratusky.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm really touched. Thank you.
It's a nice honor to make it 8 years. Okay.
There are several other folks who are here 8 years or more.
And lastly, I have our Spartan Spotlight tonight, and I'm thrilled that we're in person tonight. On November 2nd, many members of our community will have the opportunity to participate in our democracy by voting for their preferred candidates in local and regional elections. In Springfield schools, we strive to educate students on the rights and responsibilities of citizenship through our units and courses focused on civics. These studies support our district mission to prepare our graduates to be active citizens in a changing global community. Tonight, we have representatives from the high school to provide information on youth and government and international affairs, 2 of our active clubs at the high school. Please welcome Mrs. Peggy Zahner, and I'll allow her to make the presentation. Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Is this good? Do I start over? Okay, I'm still Peggy Zahner, and I am the advisor for Youth in Government, which is, as Dr. Yannicone is pointing out, it's a club that's oriented towards student engagement in civics. This is my advisor, Megan McGuire, one of my 2 co-presidents, Simran Jain, and my secretary, Gabby Green. And let's see, where can I start? Youth in Government fundamentally is a simulation of state government. So the way it works is, this is a YMCA sponsored club. So there are YMCAs and school clubs from all over the state. And in our club, most of our students are in the legislative branch. So every student is either a representative or a senator. And so in that capacity, every student writes a bill, comes up with an idea of something that he or she would like to have as a law, writes this bill up, and then has to take it to Harrisburg. We're going to be live this year, and we're very excited, and get it through. They have a committee, they have to pass through the committee, then they have to take it to the floor of the House of Representatives, and it's the actual House. So it's, I don't know if you've been there, it's this gorgeous chamber, it's blue and gold, it's spectacular. It can be a little bit daunting, but we always do it, yeah. And then they have to get it through the Senate. So they'll partner with another student in the club who will be a senator, and then the senator hopefully gets it to the Senate, signed to the governor's desk, and we're good. So that's like the big bird's eye view, if you will, of what we do. We started out, oh boy, a really long time ago, I forget, but I know I had 8 people, and at our last roll, we had 71. So we're excited about that. And we're looking forward to a terrific year in person. I'm going to turn it over now to Simran, who is our co-president and lieutenant governor for the whole state of Pennsylvania.
Hello, everybody. My name is Simran Jain. I'm a senior here at Springfield.
and I serve as one of the co-presidents of the beloved Springfield Township delegation. So in leading this huge group of about 80 teenagers, I've learned a lot. And it's not just things that I can apply to government and YAG in general. It's things that I've been able to apply in things like group projects and other clubs as well. I've really learned about what effective leadership is. And one of the most rewarding things actually happened last evening. We have so many opportunities for leadership in YAG. And last evening, we had our executive board elections. And as a person that's grown up with a lot of the people in our school, I've been going through to this school for the last 10 years. And I saw some of the most shy, timid people I know get up in front of a group of about 80 people last night and run for office, give a speech. And that's something that I think is so unique about YAG, is that every single member steps out of their comfort zone to grow as a person. I also, as Mrs. Zahner said, serve as the state lieutenant governor and a presiding officer, which means that I am the president of the state's Senate program. And by virtue of that, I am also a presiding officer, and I work with the YMCA adult advisors to create the model convention in which about 700 members from all over the state go around at the in April at the Capitol, and we plan the entire convention. And through this, I've actually learned about how to communicate with adults as well. I've had a lot of experience communicating with the student body, but what was so influential about this position was that I was able to actually learn how to communicate with both the student body and adults. And I know that's going to be something that I'm going to be able to expand on when I'm in college or in the workforce. We also have a lot of opportunities for just statewide leadership in general. Before I was lieutenant governor, I actually served as a statewide committee chair 2 times, and I'm really excited to see who from our delegation runs in January at our Eastern Convention. We're a community here in Springfield, and we are renowned throughout the state as one of the best delegations there is because we are a community and we really support each other. I know that there is typically a gap between the grades and connections in schools, and YAG has really helped bridge that. Last year, some of my best friends were seniors because of YAG, and this year, some of my best friends are underclassmen because of YAG. We really are a community. I can't stress that enough, and I really wouldn't be the person that I am today without YAG. So I'm so happy to be able to be here and talk to you about it tonight. And I think I'm going to pass it off to our secretary, Gabby.
Hello, everyone. So I wanted to just discuss a little bit more about the debating aspect of the program. So in youth and government, we use a style of debating called Parliamentary Procedure. So an example of this would be stating my name and delegation as I speak to you. So I would say Gabrielle Green, Springfield delegation, and thank you, Chair. So we use this style of debating. It does require some discipline and restraint. This is because students are allotted certain times to speak over the course of the debate and only allotted a certain amount of time to speak. So if I was speaking pro or con on a debate, I would probably be allotted 2 or 3 minutes to speak and say what I have to say. And this is important because it teaches our students to sort of consolidate their arguments and that they say, in their arguments that they say, you know, the most important part of their argument. And this applies to critical thinking skills, which is something I've learned. I'm a rambler. I talk a lot. So, you know, only being allotted a certain amount of time to speak has allowed me to really say the important parts of what I want to say. Something else about our program is that in the model convention, we are sort of known as a delegation that adheres exceptionally to parliamentary procedure. Mrs. Zahner and our co-presidents teach us very well, have us from the get-go. The first meeting, we start by stating our name and delegation. We have all the members do this, new members and old members alike, to sort of give ourselves used to parliamentary procedure. And then one of our executive positions is actually parliamentarian, to make sure, you know, we're sort of staying on task while we are debating and while we are presenting our bills to members of the delegation. Another part about debating skills that I just think is exceptional is the fact that it allows you to disagree in a respectful manner. We have so many diverse opinions just within our delegation and statewide, of course. You know, people come from different backgrounds. So people have certain viewpoints on certain issues, and it allows us to debate and disagree in a respectful way. And it's so much fun. It's so much fun to see other people's perspectives, to get challenged, to be the person that challenges someone else. And have the opportunity to do that in front of lots of people who back you up in the arguments or back up the other person in the arguments, which I think is really important as well. So yeah, that's pretty much sums up the debating aspect of our club. I'm so grateful to be a part of this club. It has taught me so much about public speaking, as I'm speaking to you all right now. And has given me the courage to sort of say what I need to say and say the important things. Because we are the future generation, and we need to know how to communicate with one another in order to get things done. So I'm going to pass it back off to Mrs. Zahner.
Oh, boy. Anyway, thanks all for listening. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to share what we do. We're so excited about this year. We're so happy. And have a great night. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tierney Hennigan. And I'm Molly Hennigan. We are two of the officers for the International Affairs Club at the high school. In the International Affairs Club, also known as Model Organization of American States, our school is able to send multiple students to a conference in Washington, D.C. There we work with students all over the Americas to write and debate resolutions. Our school is able to send 2 delegations representing 2 different countries, and we work with working groups with students from all over the states and also all over different places in the Americas. And we work writing a resolution, and we debate and vote on the resolution. It's a lot of fun. We actually go to the actual OAS building in Washington, D.C. It's a beautiful building. We get to go and sightsee and see new things all over the city, and you get to meet people from like all over. I had somebody sitting next to me from Ecuador and somebody else from like, it's crazy, and they're like talking Spanish over me and I don't even know what's going on. It's a lot of fun, and yeah. I even had the opportunity to meet with an actual delegate from Grenada and learn more about the actual OAS and the procedures that go on. It's just really amazing to go and actually debate and meet these people from other countries instead of just researching it in a classroom. So that's pretty awesome.
I'd just like to thank all of our students and Mrs. Zahner for joining us tonight. I think that you are perfect examples of why the administrative team and the faculty hear from me all the time that I'm an optimist. People talk about the next generation and what's going to happen to our country and where are things headed. And they're worried about, how often kids are on their cell phones. And what they don't see is how hard our students work day in and day out, not only in the classroom, but also in activities like this. These are voluntary activities. It takes great leadership from our staff, but it also takes great leaders among our student body. And Simran and Gabby and our young ladies from International Affairs are 4 of many students here at the high school and the middle school, and frankly, the elementary school, because some of you got to know some of our elementary students recently, who embody what I consider the hope of the next generation. You are, really inspiring for your teachers, for us as a school community, and I'm so grateful that you're involved and that you're getting involved in civic education, because we need that always, and we're glad to have you there. So we wanted to give you just a sampling of the kinds of activities that our students are engaged in beyond the classroom in civic education as we approach Election Day. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Yannicone. It always is a pleasure. It's so important, I feel, as a board member, to see our students and our teachers and the work that they're doing. We're not always able to get into the schools, but to hear a little bit about what's happening really brings it home for us, for me on the board, and makes what I do more meaningful. So thank you so much. Okay, let's move on to human resources, personnel, and HR. The Board of School Directors approves the following personnel as presented in the attachment. administrative personnel, certificated personnel, support personnel, temporary personnel, and conference workshop attendance. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second. Any comments or questions? Screen.
Mr. Bedard.
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco.
Aye.
Ms. Jordan. Mr. Needleman. Ms. Sarsfield. Ms. Lipinski. Dr. Taratusky.
Aye. Number 2, Nyman Associates. The Board of School Directors approves the addendum to the contract with Nyman Associates, Inc. to provide staffing support services for the district as needed at the rates listed in the attached addendum, effective October 20th, 2021. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second.
Second.
Any comments or questions from the board? Ms. Green?
Mr. Bedard.
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco.
Aye.
Ms. Jordan. Mr. Needleman. Ms. Sarsfield. Ms. Lipinski. Dr. Taratusky.
Aye. H, Academic Affairs. Number 1, TCI Social Studies Alive, America's Past. The Board of School Directors, upon the recommendation of the Academic Affairs Committee, approves the purchase of the TCI Social Studies Alive, America's Past, copyright 2022, resources and materials for 5th grade social studies. This agreement is for 6 years of digital and print student and teacher resources for a total cost of $26,050.50, as per the attached. Is there a motion? And a second.
Second.
Any comments or questions about this item? I just again want to repeat Ms. Sarsfield's thanks to the committee that has gone through the process of vetting curriculum. It's very important that our staff and our administration have this process in place and really give us the confidence that we need to vote on an item such as this. Thank you. Okay. Ms. Green?
Mr. Bedard.
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco.
Aye.
Ms. Jordan. Mr. Needleman. Ms. Sarsfield. Ms. Lipinski. Dr. Taratusky.
Aye. Number 2, Martin Luther School. The Board of School Directors approves the agreement between the School District of Springfield Township and the Martin Luther School DBA GEMMA Services to provide services for student 2021-1019-01 during the 2021-2022 school year. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second. Any comments or questions? Ms. Green?
Mr. Bedard.
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco.
Aye.
Ms. Jordan. Mr. Needleman. Ms. Sarsfield. Ms. Lipinski. Dr. Taratusky.
Aye. Number 3, confidential settlement and release agreement. The Board of School Directors approves the confidential settlement and release agreement for student 2021-1019-02. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second.
Second.
Any comments or questions?
Mr. Bedard.
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco.
Aye.
Ms. Jordan. Mr. Needleman. Ms. Sarsfield. Ms. Lipinski. Dr. Taratusky.
Aye. Section I, Finance. Number 1, Accelerated Budget Opt-out Resolution. The Board of School Directors approves the Accelerated Budget Opt-out Resolution certifying the tax rate within the inflation index for the 2022-2023 school year. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second. Any comments or questions from the board?
I do have a comment. I just wanted to share, as an attendee of the Finance Committee meeting, that there was a fair amount of debate on the advantages of having a preliminary budget versus this opt-out option that's up for vote. And I think for me personally, and what we had talked about is the advantage of having a preliminary budget is some level of transparency around the trade-offs that have to be made in order to achieve the objectives of the administration, which is to provide for the education of our children, and to achieve a level of tax increase that is below what the state has allowed or recommended, right? And that has been the longstanding guidance of the board. What I was satisfied with is the administration in our debate during our committee meeting, committed to, one, building a budget that would be in line with our long-term guidance, i.e. below the provided index of the state. Second, that we would create some mechanism for showing the work or defining the trade-offs, and use finance committee meetings and discussion within these board meetings to be able to talk about the work that's going into the budget. And finally, ensuring that we do satisfy the needs of our children and provide for the economic needs going into the 2022 school year, or 2023 school year, I guess it would be. So I was satisfied with the commitment from the administration, and commit to the public, of course, that I'll do my best to make sure that we're holding the administration accountable for those commitments, and we'll continue to debate and discuss that in committee. But I'm satisfied with the approach and the recommendation from Ms. Green and Dr. Yannickum.
Thanks, Mr. Bedard. We appreciate that comment and a little bit of clarification there. Any other comments or questions from the board? Ms. Green?
Mr. Bedard.
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco.
Aye.
Ms. Jordan. Aye. Mr. Needleman. Aye. Ms. Sarsfield. Aye. Ms. Lipinski.
Aye.
Dr. Taratusky.
Aye. Number 2, Alternative Transportation Solutions Agreement, ALC Schools, LLC. The Board of School Directors approves the agreement with ALC Schools, LLC to provide alternative transportation solutions for the district. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second.
Second.
Any comments or questions? I just want to ask if Dr. Yannickum could just share a brief summary about why we would need alternative transportation, just to explain that.
Sure. So this is another company that we are working with, where we have 1 or 2 students going to a non-public school, where it's more economical for us to contract that service out. And so we have several companies with whom we work. This is an additional company to provide additional service.
Sure. Any other comments or questions from the board? Ms. Green?
Mr. Bedard.
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco.
Aye.
Ms. Jordan. Aye. Mr. Needleman. Aye. Ms. Sarsfield. Aye. Ms. Lipinski.
Aye.
Dr. Taratusky.
Aye. Number 3, authorization to proceed bond refinancing of Series A of 2016. The Board of School Directors authorizes the administration to work with PFM Financial Advisors, LLC as financial advisor, Fox Rothschild LLP as bond counsel, and the local solicitor, in conjunction with the issuance of general obligation bonds series of 2022 via a competitive internet auction to refinance all or a portion of the district's outstanding general obligation bonds Series A of 2016 with a minimum net savings of $200,000. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Ms. Green?
Mr. Bedard.
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco.
Aye.
Ms. Jordan. Aye. Mr. Needleman. Aye. Ms. Sarsfield. Aye. Ms. Lipinski.
Aye.
Dr. Taratusky.
Aye. Number 4, authorization to proceed bond refinancing of Series 2017. The Board of School Directors authorizes the administration to work with PFM Financial Advisors, LLC as financial advisor, Fox Rothschild LLP as bond counsel, and the local solicitor in conjunction with the issuance of general obligation bonds Series A of 2022 via a competitive internet auction to refinance all or a portion of the district's outstanding general obligation bonds series of 2017 with a minimum net savings target of $200,000. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second. Second? Second?
Second.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the board? Ms. Green?
Mr. Bedard.
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco.
Aye.
Ms. Jordan. Aye. Mr. Needleman. Aye. Ms. Sarsfield. Aye. Ms. Lipinski.
Aye.
Dr. Taratusky.
Aye. Section J, policy. Policy 001, name and classification. The Board of School Directors approves the second reading of Policy 001, name and classification as recommended by PSBA. Is there a motion? And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Ms. Green?
Mr. Bedard.
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco.
Aye.
Ms. Jordan. Mr. Needleman. Ms. Sarsfield. Ms. Lipinski. Dr. Taratuski.
Aye. Number 2, Policy 005, Organization. The Board of School Directors approves the second reading of Policy 005, Organization, as recommended by PSBA. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second? Any comments or questions? Ms. Green?
Mr. Bedard.
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco.
Aye.
Ms. Jordan. Mr. Needleman. Ms. Sarsfield. Ms. Lipinski. Dr. Taratuski.
Aye. Number 3, Policy 006.1, Attendance at Meetings via Electronic Communications. Board of School Directors approves the second reading of Policy 006.1, Attendance at Meetings via Electronic Communications, as recommended by PSBA. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Ms. Green?
Mr. Bedard.
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco.
Aye.
Ms. Jordan. Mr. Needleman. Ms. Sarsfield. Ms. Lipinski. Dr. Taratuski.
Aye. Number 4, Policy 011, Principles for Leadership, for Governance and Leadership. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Ms. Green?
Mr. Bedard.
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco.
Aye.
Ms. Jordan. Mr. Needleman. Ms. Sarsfield. Ms. Lipinski. Dr. Taratuski.
Aye. K, Property. Garaventa USA, Inc. The Board of School Directors approves the contract with Garaventa USA, Inc. for the emergency replacement of the existing wheelchair lift at Springfield Township High School in the amount of $39,434. Is there a motion? And a second? Any comments or questions?
I mean, this may be an obvious question, but is it completely broken, the one that's there now?
It is. The lift that's,
Go ahead.
sorry about that. It is. The lift that's in place currently is completely non-functional. It was installed in 1998. It is a pulley system lift. They are no longer being used. And so currently we have students who are using wheelchairs who have to go outside the building in order to get to certain classrooms. And we would like to amend that immediately and certainly before the weather changes.
Okay,
Thank you.
You got it.
Absolutely. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay, Ms. Green?
Mr. Bedard.
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco.
Aye.
Ms. Jordan. Mr. Needleman. Ms. Sarsfield. Ms. Lipinski. Dr. Taratuski.
Aye. At this time, we will have an opportunity for public comment on non-agenda items. We allot a total of 30 minutes during this public comment period, so we request that you speak, try to keep your comments to about 3 minutes. And again, this is a comment period. We have a few folks who are signed up online. I'm going to address the online person first, Megan Buckholz. Okay.
Hi.
Hi, Megan.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Can you just state your name and, or your address rather for the minutes, please?
2 Chanel Avenue, Flowertown, Pennsylvania, 19031.
Okay, thanks. Go ahead.
Okay, so I have a freshman in the high school, and I also have an 8th grader and a 4th grader. My concern is, I just have a question for the freshman. And then also this will probably affect possibly my 8th grader and 4th grader one day. So recently they were asked to fill out questions for student class representatives to be able to become one. There's 11 spots available. And my freshman, Gracie, is very independent, so I let her, she handles everything. So I did not even glimpse at the questions, but I know there were questions she had to fill out. She verbally told me some of them. And then there was like no interview process or anything, but apparently they pick 11 kids, but then you don't ever get a chance to run again or try again to be a class representative in the whole 4 years. Now, I know for other student council, there are elections, I think, each year. But for this case, for the representatives, there's 11 picked freshman year, and then you don't have a chance to become one for sophomore, junior, or senior year. So I'm just confused as to why. Like, is there a way that you could change that so that, because a lot changes from year to year with kids, schedules, some kids move out of the district. And what happens if, things like that change? Is there a way to reevaluate that process so if she doesn't get it freshman year, maybe there's a chance for her to get it for sophomore year? She's a student who really likes to be involved. And I'm not, I'm happy for the kids who got chosen, and so is she. But at the same time, we're like a little just confused why she wouldn't be able to then try out again for sophomore, junior, or senior to be able to become one.
Thanks, Megan. I don't know that we have an answer to that question at this time, but yeah, we can have Dr. Rittenhouse reach out to you so that you can have the opportunity to discuss that with him. And certainly we will follow up and to better understand that situation. Thank you.
Yeah, because I just wanted to announce this like in the board situation, because there's some kids who say freshman year, they're not ready for any kind of position, but then by sophomore year, they get the nerve to be able to, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to kind of present this so that, a lot of people are aware that this is the process right now. So I appreciate you telling me that Mr. Rittenhouse will get back to me, which is awesome. But I just also wanted to make sure that this is like something new that I thought, it's an important role for kids, and therefore, maybe it needs to be reevaluated. So thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thanks for bringing it. There are several folks in person. Stephen Heverin, if you could just come up and share your address for the minutes and comments.
Good evening, Stephen Heverin, 1213 Bergen Road, Orland, Pennsylvania. I will start by saying that this is imperfectly written. I am not a writer by trade. I have listened to the comments by parents and residents at the school board meetings in various online forums, making statements about CRT or critical race theory over the past months, specifically on the perceptions of what they think it is and what they think is being told in our school district. What I have heard has been to use CRT as a catch-all bucket that you can put in on any topic into which you find uncomfortable and do not want to discuss or address. The core idea behind critical race theory is that race is a social construct and that racism is not merely the product of individual bias or prejudice, but also something embedded in legal systems and policies. What is being taught in our school is not CRT. You can call a horse a purple unicorn all you want, but that still does not make that horse a purple unicorn. What is being taught is an extension, of Spartan pride, perseverance, respect, integrity, dependability, and empathy. Through the second step, SEL, social and emotional learning, and social justice curriculums, these age-appropriate curriculums teaching our children to be empathetic, consider different perspectives and experiences. These include, but are not limited to, understanding race, social and economic status, different abilities, cultures, and religion. When I went to school growing up from the mid-70s through the 80s, I received a very whitewashed history. Even being in a school district, not here, that had a higher percentage of Black students and Black educators than other school districts in the region. I learned that Christopher Columbus didn't really discover America, but he wasn't a bad guy. I learned that we ended slavery after the Civil War and things were better. We fought and won for the civil rights movements and things were better. We fought and won voting rights and things were better. I was taught that America and its democracy were a great and shining beacon light of light on the hill. I was taught that we were welcoming to immigrants, our huddled masses yearning to be free of all kinds because they made us better and even more successful.
You have 30 seconds remaining.
Sorry, I'll speed it up. I've also been learning more about our American history, the good, the bad, and the ugly parts. This is the history that I should have been taught in middle and high school. Learning about different things, the good, the bad, and the ugly, does not take away my view of American exceptionalism, but it puts it into a place with more balance. We have avoided this uncomfortable history for too long.
Your time has expired.
I'm sorry, can I have just a couple
Sure.
more seconds, please? Sorry. What I see in our school district are educators and administrators who are thriving to provide our children with these skills and education which allows them to make more informed decisions, true empathy for others, and understand the need for service in our community, like we saw tonight with the students. They are teaching our children to be able to confront those uncomfortable feelings and have those uncomfortable conversations, skills which I wish I had acquired sooner in my life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Stanley Braxton, you can come up and just share your address for the minutes, please.
I want to thank you for letting me speak tonight. I appreciate it.
Can you just share your address?
My name
for...
is Stanley Braxton. I live at 8501 Hall Drive.
Thank you.
Winmore,
Thank you.
9038. So I hope I can get through this in 3 minutes.
Okay.
But I had to write my ideas down so that I wouldn't miss anything. My name is Stanley Braxton. I'm not here as a parent, but as a concerned citizen of this nation and a veteran of the U.S. Army, where I served our country. I'm here tonight because Biden's Justice Department has some parents afraid to speak to school boards as a favor to the National School Board Association. American citizens, Democrats and Republicans, are labeled domestic terrorists by the Biden administration if they dare speak out about what is being taught in the schools. Maud Manor, a lifelong Democrat in New York City, who was a president of the New York City School Board, was complaining about what her kids were being taught. It was about race. And she complained about it, and she was fired, and she was labeled a domestic terrorist. This is not the America that evolved over time. We were backsliding. It was not a good America in the South for Black citizens. In fact, it was dangerous for those who spoke out, just like people today who want to complain about what's being taught in the schools. But our country was repaired because we have a constitution which we lived up to. I had endured the days of segregation, name-calling, Jim Crow laws, lynching in this country, where systemic racism did exist in Democrat-run states. The southern states was where Blacks were truly oppressed, the only legitimate group that was ever oppressed in this country. Nobody else who's claiming it today has suffered oppression like the Blacks in the South. I had been refused service in restaurants when traveling through the South. I had to drink at colored-only water fountains and order food at windows instead of going inside to order food. That was the old America I was born in 86 years ago. You don't see that today anywhere else in this country. So where does the racism exist? The only systemic racism we have is at Yale, Harvard, Stanford, where they discriminate against Asian students who would dominate. There is where we have systemic racism. Do we have racists in the country? Yes.
You have
It's not
30
systemic.
seconds.
Excuse me?
You have 30 seconds remaining.
So I can't say what I want to say. At any rate, whether you're teaching critical race theory or some aspects of it, race has no place being taught in our schools. No place. And that's what I'm here to complain about. This country has gone to hell since 1960, okay? Is my time up?
Your time has expired.
My time's up? I wanted to explain just a little bit about the race theory. Critical theories about change or about changing things exist, and it came from the mind of Karl Marx. And that is enough reason to reject it, since it is about victimhood, class struggles, and materialism.
Mr. Braxton, I'm sorry, we have some other folks who wish to speak.
Yes, what I have to say is not important, right?
Okay. Thanks, Mrs. Trinkle.
Okay. First of all, the critical race theory is wrong. They're saying that we have a caste system in America with whites at the top and blacks at the bottom. Well, as it turns out, Asians are at the top. They're a minority. They're at the top. If you think about economic success and college education, okay? However, whites are the majority. And of course, when they're a majority, they're going to run the country. That's not surprising. So the theory that we have a caste system is untrue. It is not, well, it's not untrue because the caste is the elites today. The college graduates versus those who had to go to Vietnam. The college graduates didn't serve, and people today don't serve in the army either, in the military, but the college graduates are now the elite. The feminists are now the elite. The mothers who stay home and take care of their kids are not. It's only those who go to work. So we do have a caste system in that regard, but it's not racial because there are many black elites. Black elites came up with this idea of critical race theory, okay? So I'm just asking the school board to not teach anything about race, whether you call it critical race theory or what. It has no place in this country anymore. You know, thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry if you're gonna, we're not gonna applaud at this point in time. It's not an opportunity for us for speeches. Is there anyone else, either online? I see Mary Ellen Reeves. Ms. Reeves,
Can you hear me?
Yes, can you just state your?
Mary Ellen Reeves, 214 Station Avenue.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for letting him speak. God bless him for being strong enough to stand against his school board and speak the truth. And to cut him off and smirk, as I can see on some of the faces here, is totally disrespectful. And you know what? You should be ashamed of yourself for cutting that man off. He's a veteran and a hero. And God bless him for what he has said. Thank you.
Thanks, Mrs. Reeves. Is there anyone else online or in the audience who wishes to speak this evening? Yeah. Come on up and state your name and where you live, please.
Oh goodness. Gabrielle Green, 902 Summit Lane, Orland, Pennsylvania. As a student who thoroughly enjoys history class, it has always been a cause close to my heart to improve the Springfield Township history curriculum. Our social studies curriculum here at Springfield is a reflection and should continue to be a reflection of vast cultures and stories passed down from generation to generation. True stories of struggles on behalf of all people, the foundation of our country. As a proud member of the NAACP Youth Leadership Committee, and as a young person, I have made it my mission to evaluate the world I will continue to grow up in. The stories of our ancestors deserve to be told in their entirety. The struggles they face do not just dissipate, they remain in institutions within our society. As a 16-year-old, I have taken time over the pandemic to study institutional racism within our community and within our society. Although there are positive aspects of our community, which I'm sure we all enjoy, there is always improvement to be made. There are stories of students and there are stories of parents and of grandparents that need to be told and that need to be addressed forever and always. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else within the audience or online who wishes to speak? I want to thank everyone for sharing their comments this evening. The board does appreciate hearing all of the information that you've shared, and I want to thank everyone for attending this evening. We're going to looking at some future meeting dates.
Dr. Teratuski, we do have one more hand. I'm sorry.
We have one more hand. I'm sorry, I missed that. I did not see that online.
It just popped up. It's AB has a hand raised.
Can you please state your full name and your address for the minutes, please?
Sure, thank you for letting me speak. Angelina Banks, I live on Queen Street, Winmore, PA 19038.
Great, thank you.
I think one of the things that makes a lot of people uncomfortable when we talk about the social emotional learning or anything that's race-based is where the conversation was born from. So Second Step initially was a program that started with one question: why do people do bad things? And what they found was that some people lack certain qualities, like empathy. And so they developed this program. What they don't talk about is people who tend to do bad things are psychopaths, are sociopaths. And the average person, the average student, the average family, the average community has fully functioning people. So I think what makes some parents uncomfortable is that essentially a school is administering a program that's main goal is behavior modification therapy. You're identifying an issue that may not exist for every student, and you're applying a blanket solution saying, well, bad things happen because of this one reason. And that's essentially the breadth or the birth of what Second Step was. So I think we all know, especially as educators, there is not one solution to fit every problem. Even with the new curriculum adopted today, one of the attractive things about it is multiple approaches to helping our students learn. So I think while we do want to make sure that we have healthy emotional students, we have to realize that not every student is emotionally deficient, and that the majority of our students possess these qualities. And that's really what I wanted to say. Thank you very much. I appreciate everything that you guys are doing. I know that this job is not easy, and I want to thank everybody who had the courage to speak out today. And if I have one parting word to say to any parent who's listening out there, it is your responsibility to advocate for your child. And if there's something that makes you uncomfortable, speak up. It does not have to be at a school board meeting. It can be a one-on-one conversation with the teacher or the principal. But ultimately, your children are your responsibility. So thank you, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Okay. Is there anyone else in the audience or online who wishes to speak this evening?
I see no other hands online.
Okay. All right, thank you. So future meeting dates. We have Monday, an interim board meeting will be held on Monday, November 1st, 2021. That's a hybrid meeting. A regular board meeting will be held November 16th, 2021. That will also be hybrid. A committee meeting, there's a property committee meeting scheduled for Thursday, October the 28th at 8 a.m. That is a virtual meeting. And that's all we have. You had, Mr. DeFranco, you had a Finance Committee meeting?
Yeah, Finance Committee, November 11th, 2021, 8 a.m.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you all again for attending this evening, and have a good evening. We're adjourned.